Hello and welcome to this edition of Healthy Habits. I'm your host, Amy Davis. Today we'll be talking about sugar, primarily sugar addiction and sugar cravings, and the impact they have on our health. Luckily today our guest is an expert on the subject. She is a registered dietitian and healthy aging expert. Jeannie Peters, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm really glad to be here. This is an important subject to tackle.
It really is. Could you start by telling us what impact sugar has on our bodies and what's its purpose?
Well, sugar is needed. I mean, we need sugar to be able to fuel all of the cells in our body. We need it to fuel our brain, so it has a purpose. The problem is we can get enough of that sugar just from unprocessed foods like vegetables. What we're doing to ourselves, though, is we're eating a ton of foods that are, have many hidden sugars, and it's having a real impact.
What are some symptoms that someone might experience if they're having too much sugar?
Oh, great question. Probably the biggest one I see in my practice are things like mood swings, hypoglycemia, the ups and downs of eating sugar and then not. So your blood sugars
Mood
are going
swings,
up and
right?
down, right? Fatigue, you have tremendous energy after eating sugar and then boom, you start to crash. So a lot of people will experience the fatigue in the afternoon. Irritability, heart palpitations, headaches, migraines.
A
PMS.
whole lot of not fun stuff.
Yeah.
And I know today we're going to be highlighting sugar addiction. We're going to kind of dive into that. I know a lot of people might not relate to that. They might think, I don't eat sweets, I don't have cake, I don't have soda, so I'm not addicted to sugar. But really, you can be addicted to sugar without realizing it. Can you tell us why that is?
Great question. Great point. Like you said, people think, oh, chocolate milk, sodas, you got plenty of sugar in there,
Right.
but if you don't
It's
drink
obvious.
it. But that's only 20% of what most people consume. 80% of what they consume is actually hidden in all these foods that we think of as being, part of a healthy diet. So that's where I really like to, to focus.
Jeannie, how much sugar is the average person supposed to have on a daily basis, child and adult?
That's a great question. We don't really have an RDA, a recommended daily allotment for sugar, but I will tell you just how much we are getting. So the average adult is getting about 22 teaspoons of sugar a day, hidden in most of the foods, like your Starbucks, and then children are getting somewhere in the average around 35, maybe 40 teaspoons, depending on what sources you read. So, kids are getting almost a half a cup of sugar a day.
That's gross. I know you said that there's no really RD allotment, but would you say if you had to give an estimate, what's the most we should aim for?
I would say, start reading labels for one thing,
Yes.
and start looking at how much sugar's on a label, and ideally, keeping it under 15 grams a day.
Oh, a day.
That's not going to be easy
Oh
for most
my
people,
gosh.
but that's great. But if you're wanting to do a healthy diet, that's about
15
what would be
grams
ideal.
a day. And how do we avoid this? How do we get over this when it's everywhere? It's hidden everywhere.
Oh, it's a great question. It's a great question. First thing I teach people to do in my practice is to read labels. So, for example, this is plain unsweetened yogurt. But if you look on the label, Amy, there's 7 grams of sugar just naturally found in the milk sugars of any kind of milk product, whether it's cheese or let's say yogurt or milk would be the most common. So that's, that you are getting sugar just naturally found. Like the next place that I do is to get people just to start looking at labels. So for example, this is a really good example. Because everybody thinks green juices are so great, and everybody's drinking a green juice. So this is a juice in which it says no sugar added. However, in this green juice, you're getting 53 grams of sugar. So, this is just, and it's partly because of all the juices that have been added. So this is mostly juice, fruit juice, with a little bit of green, like maybe a leaf of spinach or something that's been added. So it's becoming more aware would be a great place to start.
Awesome. And what are some of the hidden things that maybe we wouldn't expect?
Oh, I know. This always shocks me. Everybody thinks, oh, a little barbecue sauce on my chicken, right? So this is just, a typical serving of barbecue sauce is 2 tablespoons. Well, that's probably enough to cover maybe a chicken, thigh.
Breast or thigh.
So just with that, you're getting 10 grams of sugar, which is equivalent to 2 teaspoons of sugar. People think, oh, banana chips. They're better than, they're healthy chips,
dried
right?
banana, no sugar added.
So this is a serving right here.
Yes.
So you're getting a half a bag.
Serving.
And a serving has 30 grams of sugar.
Wow.
So, if you give your kids something like this as a snack, and then maybe you start them off in the morning with some oatmeal. So this is oatmeal. We think oatmeal, that's a great way to start. But this oatmeal has 18 grams of sugar just to kick off your morning. So this is like candy for breakfast.
Yeah, it's candy for
You know,
breakfast.
this is candy for a snack. And then things that, you know, we take for granted, like who would think soup? You know?
Yeah, soup.
This
I'm
is
not eating
tomato
sugar.
bisque soup, but this has 10 grams of sugar
Almost like
in
your
a
whole
half
day.
in a half of a serving. Now, most people aren't probably going to just eat. They're probably going to eat this whole thing. So this is 20 grams of sugar just in this serving of soup.
Kind of gross when you break it
adds
down.
up.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of
Ketchup.
others, you know, like people think, oh, granola, trail mix, you know, a
Yeah.
granola bar, that's a healthy
Gluten-free.
thing. Yeah, it's even gluten-free, but even this, you know, you're getting like 12 grams of sugar just in a granola bar. So it's the little things that we do that added up over the course of the day
Yep.
are contributing to us consuming. So start reading labels.
What are some alternatives to sweeteners and maybe some things that could spice up the food and make us, kind of trick us into thinking we're still getting sugar?
That's what I teach people to do, is to start looking at how you can dial down by reading your labels, making better choices. Second thing is, if you do need to sweeten something, stevia is a natural plant that grows in the Mediterranean. It's intensely sweet. It's about almost 300 times
That's a long
sweeter than
way.
sugar. So you can use like a drop of this, let's say if you made some iced tea
It's a
or you had a
liquid.
coffee, you could put a drop of that in, and that would help to increase the threshold, but it doesn't have any impact on your blood
No
sugars
calories.
as much.
And it's going to be better than the aspartame Sweet and Low and Splenda and all
Oh
that.
yeah, all of those are.
This
and
is safer.
And even this is something in which I teach people to use it very sparingly, because 300 times sweeter than sugar means, you know,
Yeah.
you're still keeping your taste buds tuned into having something very sweet. But here's a real good tip. You know, getting out your cinnamon and your vanilla, like extracts. Vanilla extract will heighten the sweet flavor of something like yogurt. So for example, oftentimes I'll start off with plain milk yogurt instead of the highly sweetened ones. I'll cut up some fresh fruit into it, and to it I might add like a teaspoon of vanilla and maybe even like a teaspoon of cinnamon, and then stir that up. And that's actually something in which people, when they get used to eating things without sugar added, are amazed at how quickly their threshold for sugar goes way down.
And I heard that cinnamon actually helps balance your blood sugar.
Sure,
So it's
you know,
great
it's-
if you have diabetes. This is a good
Put this on your
alternative.
oatmeal, add
Great.
it into your granola, put it into your yogurt, put it into your coffee.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jeannie. I know that there's so much more that could be said about sugar. I mean, we could make a whole nother episode about this in the future.
Let's do
right?
it.
Well, thank you so much. It's always great to have you here with
Thanks,
us.
Amy.
That's going to do it for this edition of Healthy Habits. We'll see you next time.